Hi, my name is Timothy Borgogna, and I'm making this video to apply for the Dennis Schoepp Memorial Scholarship. So one of the first questions that you have is discuss some of the skills that you possess that'll help you in the funeral service. The first and foremost is I've acted as a youth leader for our church for approximately 3 or 4 years now. That's given me quite a bit of experience just kind of working with families and understanding their kids and just some interpersonal relationship type dynamics. The second thing is I'm currently a fifth-year graduate student at Montana State University, working on a PhD in immunology and infectious disease. So I have quite a bit of lab experience. Very comfortable in that type of setting, working with chemicals. So things like an embalming, things of that nature, that's not completely foreign to me. I've done a decent amount of work working on cadavers, and it's not something that I'm too apprehensive about. The third thing is I've also worked for the past about 2 years now in an on-call capacity for a Doc and Nelson funeral service here in Bozeman, Montana. And my role there is primarily point of contact. So when somebody passes, I'll go out and I'll meet with the family and I'll kind of try to settle them down if they happen to be in any type of panic. And also just kind of talking with them about what the next steps are, making sure that they're comfortable with what's ahead. And in addition to that, I also do the actual removal, so I'll make sure that whoever they have there is taken into our care and is then set up in our housing until we get the chance to meet with them. So the second question was some of the challenges communicating with families that you might face. I think the first one that I really had a hard time with at first, and it's gotten a little bit easier over the last year or so, is just communicating with the family in a way that they're going to be trustworthy with you, or they view you as a trustworthy person. And one of the things that I found that helps with that probably the most is just one, being able to identify the situation that they're in and not minimize it in any way. I think in some respects that you become a little calloused to something that may be what we view as normal, right? So maybe a hospice type death where there's been some time to prepare for things, and oftentimes I think it's easy to maybe overlook some of the emotions involved with that. But so just putting yourselves kind of in the family's situation there. And the other thing is if you can just have a conversation outside of the events that are happening there. Maybe you see a picture on the wall that strikes a chord with you and you can begin a conversation like that, or an out-of-state license plate that you have some type of connection to. Just little things like that seem to go quite a long ways when you're just establishing that first point of contact, allowing them to trust you and letting them know that you're going to be taking good care of whoever they may be with at that time. So the third question that I'm choosing, the optional one, is what role does community involvement play, or how I view community involvement. I'd say first and foremost, the way that I've been the most involved in my community has been one through church outreach. So being involved with the youth group, and that's really placed us inside local high schools around Bozeman and gotten us quite a bit of contact with them outside of any other opportunity that I might have. And that's really benefited in the way where just the name Doc and Nelson becomes a little bit more commonplace. It's a difficult industry to advertise for, right? You can't, you're not going to run a sale or anything like that. So I always look at those opportunities, that type of community involvement, just letting them know that, this is part of your life and this is how we offer things. And also look at community involvement. I know from a more like industry standpoint is just like if we can sponsor certain events, things like that. I think those are good ways to be prevalent in the community without being obtrusive or anything like that. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I hope you give this some consideration.